This is Dr. Matt Barber of Alabama Orthopedic Clinic. We are proud supporters of Ransom Reprogram, Ransom Ministries, and all of the good work that they do in our community. If you would like to learn more about us, check us out at alortho.com or barbertotaljoint.com. You can also hear more from me personally on the Ortho Real podcast. Thank you again for allowing us to be involved with Ransom Ministries and all of the great work that they do.
Hey, welcome to the Ransom Experience. My name is Matt Armbruster, Executive Director of Ransom Ministries. You're going to hear stories from people that we've served and people that serve alongside us, as well as those that we partner with throughout our community. You're going to hear about decisions they made throughout their life and things that happened through different avenues of their life that caused them to go down a path that they didn't see themselves going. And then also those decisions that they have to make on a daily basis to stay away from those decisions that they made in the past. Ransom Ministries empowers people to utilize their God-given gifts and talents in their career and for their community. All along the way, we learn how to help those close to us and also maybe even help ourselves. This is real. This is raw. This is Ransom.
With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head.
This show is brought to you by Ransom Recycling, your number one choice for electronic recycling in Mobile, Alabama. Help reduce waste in our landfills by recycling all of your unwanted, unused, and non-working electronics. Ransom Recycling is a division of Ransom Ministries that is helping to put men and women back to work. Check out ransomministries.com for a complete list of acceptable items. Drop-offs and pickups can be easily scheduled through the website. Please note that we are not accepting TVs at this time. Ransom Recycling, open 8 to 3 Monday through Friday. Help our planet while helping men and women re-enter the workforce.
With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head.
Hey, welcome to the Ransom Experience, where we talk to individuals that have been in our program, have volunteered in our program, and kind of see how it has affected them, but also affected us through their getting to know them. So last week you heard from Lyndsey. That was our 6th episode. We're on 70 something now, and a lot has changed in her life since then, since we talked. So I kind of wanted to kind of recap of where she was, kind of how we got to know each other, and then we'll talk about what she's doing now. So first of all, thanks for coming, Lyndsey.
Thank you.
All right. So tell me a little bit about you. Tell me a bit about your, childhood, teenage years, kind of growing up and doing all that.
Well, I come from Enterprise, Alabama. I had a decent childhood, decent teenage years, but I got into my later teens and began to just hang out with the wrong people and, got involved in drugs. And by the time I was 20 years old, I was in active drug addiction.
Everybody has like this revelation of when they need to get help, when they need help. Can you tell us a little? I know your story is really cool. I mean, I've heard it before and we heard it probably last week, but I want to kind of recap for those that didn't listen to that one. What made you realize you needed help?
I think after that 3rd or 4th relapse of no matter how much, I went to church and I loved the Lord, I could not stop using. And so after about that 3rd or 4th time is when I realized, I need help. I can't do this on my own. All
right. Did you have individuals in your life that kind of helped you get that or move towards that, or how did that happen?
Yes, I actually, December 31st, 2019, I walked into this holiness conservative camp meeting out of my mind, but I knew that's where the help was. And a friend of mine, D. Dietz, kept me close for 42 days until the door opened for me to go to the Home of Grace. And a couple out of the church paid for the fee for me to be able to go. So I knew that was like God's will, that this is what was supposed to happen. Because in my earlier years, if I ever tried to get help, it was always like, well, you don't have any money, you don't have any insurance. It's like there was no help available. So when this door finally opened in my life, I walked through it.
So, a lot of times I talk to people that have been in addiction, and a lot of times there's a point in their life, trauma or something that happened that kind of caused, you said you were in a pretty good home. You were going to church, doing all those things. Kind of why do you feel like you were seeking other things with that addiction? Was it mainly the people you were hanging out with, just trying to fit in, or what was that like?
I did have a lot of childhood trauma, even though I had a good home, that there was still trauma that come along with that. And as I got older, that curiosity, the saying, curiosity kills the cat, and not listening to my mentors in my life at that time, because I thought I knew it all. Yeah. I'm a teenager. I think I know everything. Yeah. But come to find out, if I would have just listened to them, there were many paths I probably would have not walked down. Yeah.
So you went to the Home of Grace, and then we were partners with the Home of Grace. So they, in y'all's last month, you come here. So tell me about that. When you came here, heard you were coming here, what was your thought about it, or what the first day you were here?
I was really excited to actually get out the Home of Grace for a little while, and I remember when I first got here, and I seen Matt, and I asked him about his tattoos, and he's like, nobody has ever asked me about my tattoos to begin with. And I was constantly calling myself a felon, and he's like, I don't want you to ever call yourself a felon again. Yeah,
because you had a sense that you would never get past that,
right?
And never get. Didn't you work like fast food? Mm-hmm. And you was like, I'm always going to work fast food. Right. I'm always going to do that. And I try to tell you, no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to keep doing that. But you really bought into it. Your personality is amazing. I mean, I love talking to you, hanging out with you. And as I got to know you, I knew there was so much more. You had so many leadership qualities. You had ways that you could do it. You just had to have belief in yourself. And through Reprogram, do you feel like you got some tools that you could use to go back out into the job market, out into the world where you're going to work, and we're ready to do that?
Definitely. And I think the mock interviews really helped me, because at the mock interview, I passed it with flying colors, but Ransom helped me to be able to be honest with my employers, but not sit there and tell them my whole story at the beginning of an interview. Yeah. So it definitely helped me in that area of how to talk to people.
Yeah, because we use this thing, it's called SAR. And for those out there listening, it's a way that you can share your story, be honest, but don't overshare, because a lot of times when we get nervous, we want to overshare. We want to do all this stuff, and those people are going, I didn't even ask that. Well, why did you tell me that? But so SAR is situation, action, results. So you tell the situation, it might have been, I was doing the wrong things. I was making wrong choices. But the action is I'm now, I went to a rehab. I learned who I was. I learned to be confident in who I was. And now I feel like I could be a vital part of your organization, work for, through your company or whatever. So after you left the Home of Grace and after you got graduated from here, kind of where did you go from there? What was your life like after that?
I lived in the grad dorm at the Home of Grace for a little while, and then I was working at Rouse's Market in Saraland. They were the first people to give me an opportunity, so to work for them, knowing where I'd come from, knowing, the situation. And I worked for them for 2 years, and I moved up from a cook to the culinary manager within those 2 years.
And that's what we kind of taught in that class, is that you go in as in any job and you try to work your way up by the way that you carry yourself, the way you work. And so for those out listening, you've heard us talk about the Home of Grace. You've heard us talk about Reprogram. Well, the Home of Grace is a rehab for women, and they go there and they teach them biblical principles, but also teach them to love themselves. And then the Reprogram is just the job training, learning life skills, learning how to take those things they're learning there and putting them in real life situations, whether that be a job interview, a job, or just a relationship in general, how to handle relationships. And so as you went through that, I saw that Rouse's has always been a great partner. They put a lot of the graduates from the Home of Grace and Reprogram to work, and they've done very well. And it's been kind of their stepping stone. Some are even there still in management and doing great. So after you did that for a while, you moved up, you said, to the culinary manager, and then kind of tell us about what happened after that or during that time.
Well, I had a friend of mine. At the time, she worked for Ross, which is a state certified peer agency. They help bridge the gap from active addiction to recovery. And they believe in many different pathways, allowing people to choose what pathway they need to find their road to recovery. Well, then in Mobile, they had peer, which is people engaged in recovery. And she was like, Lyndsey, she's like, you've been clean almost 2 years. What do you think about becoming a certified recovery support specialist? You have to be in recovery 2 or more years and work a program, work active recovery. And so I wrestled with that for about 6 months. I had a passion because I've always wanted to help people. But in those 2 years before that, I was just sitting still, just working on me. And then when that door finally opened, I got certified by the Department of Mental Health as a recovery support specialist. And the door opened for me to be the supervisor over the building at People Engaged in Recovery, which means I plan events and organize events. I have a few contract workers that work in the building. I help people as they come in. They might be in active use, or they might just be hungry. We deal with the holistic approach to making a person whole, not just their substance use disorder, even though that's mainly our main focus of getting people to treatment, getting people to rehab, getting people to detox, and getting their assessments done. But a lot of times people don't have anywhere to live. They don't have clothes. They don't have food. So we're like a resource giant, and we help people with their needs.
So I know when we were looking at goals when you were in reprogram, one of the ones is that's what you want to do, some way to help people that are going through the same thing or have been through the same thing you were. And so it was great to see you that door open. And it's funny because you go to a grocery store and most people think, well, the grocery store that's it. And you aren't going to find how to reach that goal. But we also learned that you take jobs to any job in order to make money, because all of us got to make money. And then you look for opportunities along the way to either educate yourself to move on to where your ultimate goal was. And so you went there. So tell us first a little bit about Peer. What you told us, they find people recovery. And what else do they do? I mean, is that pretty much it, or do they do a lot of different things?
That pretty much is the stem of it, is just helping people. Like, we use our own life experiences. Everyone that I work with have been in recovery for 2 or more years, and they're using their own life experiences. We're not clinical, we're not qualified to do that, but we have the experience to help people. And that's what we do. There are people that, they are trapped in substance use disorder, but they don't know how to get out. Well, then they get our number and they call us, and we're like, we're here. We got you. We know the way out. We can lead you and direct you and guide you. So we offer transportation to their assessments, transportation to detox, transportation to treatment, transportation to transitional living, whatever needs that peer has at that time. We help navigate that process for them so they're not by themselves.
That is a great service, because that's really a lot of times no one knows where to go. And like you said earlier, when you were trying to find help, you didn't have the money, you didn't have the resources, you couldn't figure out how to do that. You guys do that there, is find them a way to get into some sort of either a detox or recovery or something like that. So one thing I've noticed by doing this for as long as I have is that many people get stuck in the recovery stage of it. And you got to move beyond that. You got to move beyond recovery. And I know that I see you doing that. You're actually out there helping, and you're doing other things. So what's like your ultimate goal? What is your ultimate goal to do for you?
My ultimate goal, my long-term goal, is to become an adolescent drug counselor. Okay,
so tell me a little bit about that. So that's for kids that are, because you struggled when you were younger, teenager, whatever.
That's when it started.
So you help them navigate that same thing, right? Is that what that would do?
Right. I don't really know what it all looks like. That's just my passion in my heart, and just prevention, to be able, if we can get the young people, that have already dibbled and dabbled or not dibbled and dabbled yet, if we could just be that witness to them and help them and guide them to go to a better life and not go down the roads. And we do that through, teaching them our experiences and through education. Because I remember being in high school, they did a slideshow on Oxycontin and alcohol. And to this day, I've never touched Oxycontin. Even though I've done other things, that slideshow is so effective in my mind as a teenager. It stuck with me.
Yeah, you said I'll never do those things when you actually see it happen. So what I've noticed a lot of times, and I loved how you said earlier about try to find their own path to recovery. Because many times we want to over spiritualize things, or we want to and then I've seen a lot of them, they try, and it doesn't work. It doesn't do any good. So then they want to blame God because we're telling them, oh, just give it to God and everything will be good. But there's a whole lot of other pieces to that. There could be mental issues that we got to deal with. And I believe that through prayer you can do that, but there's other avenues that help them with that. And I think that what I've heard Peer does is they kind of help them navigate all those different resources. It's very organic. It's a holistic type approach because, I tell people all the time, you can't tell someone to trust in this being that they can't see when they don't even trust the person sitting across from them. And that's what you do, is you build that relationship, build that trust, so then they can trust God because they see him in you. And that's what I think the whole purpose of what we do, what you're doing. I think what you're doing is amazing. And I know you've probably seen some really cool things happen. Do you have a story that you want to share that you've seen while you've been there?
I know I work mostly in the building, but in the past few months, I've been training in the outreach field, which is like getting in the field where the people are, and getting to experience taking my first peer to treatment was so rewarding to see someone that they didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do, but being able to lead them there and helping them. And one thing that's great about peer that I hadn't mentioned is that, money is no longer a barrier to treatment. And we take people to state certified facilities. If you don't have money and you don't have insurance and you don't know what to do, you can call us and we can help you because it's not a barrier anymore.
So while we're there, if someone's out there listening, and they're just at their end and they've been the same way you were, where they didn't have the money, they didn't have all that. So how do they get a hold of you?
They could give us a call at 844-307-1760, and immediately there will be another peer on the line that will be there to take their call, talk to them. That is the 24/7 helpline, and we just go from there.
That's awesome. Because I know we get all types listen to our podcast, and there's people out there that are struggling. There might be, I don't know, laying in a crack house somewhere, and they don't know, and they're hearing this, or they hear it months later because this is always out there. So what would be something that you would tell someone facing the struggles that you faced yourself and the struggles that you've seen others that have come through peer struggle with? What would you tell them right now, if you could tell them anything?
I would tell them there is hope. And if they can just hold on and go through the process, that they can have a better life.
Okay. So hope to me is that you don't have to live like that no more. Mm-hmm. There's someone there that will help you, someone that there will walk with you through that. They're not going to judge you. They're not going to point fingers, because with your program, they've been there. You've been there. You know how it feels to have someone judge you and point fingers and say that you're never going to be any different than a drug addict or whatever it might be. And that's what we do here too, is we don't want to judge anyone. Everybody messes up. Everybody does things wrong. Everybody has a story, and we just got to get that out of them. And once you do that, you can make them realize who they are. Watching you grow over from the first day that I met you and all you're ever going to be is a fast food cook, to now, there's such a confidence, and that's what's fun about what I do, is that I get to see that transformation, and really, I believe God's the only one that can do that, only one that can transform us, but we have to get to the point where we allow him to do that. There's one thing, that if you keep stuff inside, if you keep things to yourself, God really can't do anything with it. But once you're honest and once you're obedient, then he says, now I can work with you. And I think that we sometimes over complicate this whole walk with God. We think you got to know scripture, you got to know all that. You just got to be obedient and honest. And when we do that, then there's a way to work. So let's say that number again. I'll go ahead and tell. So you want to get a hold, you need help, either getting into some sort of detox, or you want to get help, get into a rehab, or you just want to talk to someone really. You can call this number 24/7. It's 844-307-1760. And that is PEER, People Engaged in Recovery. I'm so proud of where you are and the way you're moving forward. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, and you're going to change people's lives and change yours along the way. I know that for a fact because it's changed my life. And I appreciate you coming today and taking time to talk to our listeners, because I know there's got to be someone out there that needed to hear that today. And if there wasn't, they know someone that they need to share this podcast with that can get some help. So you can also call us at 251-751-0044, and you can go to our website, ransomministries.com. You can also email them at helpline@peopleengagedinrecovery.org, and you can get more information. And then there's a website. It's called peopleengagedinrecovery.org. So go there, check them out. Check out Ransom at ransomministries.com. You can go check out Home of Grace for rehabilitation as well. And we're just honored to get to know you and to see you grow. So thanks again for coming out, Lyndsey.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So thanks again for listening to us. Each and every week, we bring you a new story, and we would love for you to rate us, share some comments of what you'd like to hear, what you liked about the podcast, and then go ahead and go to our website, ransomministries.com, check out all that we do, and then also go to any of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and follow us on there as well. Thank you again for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. With every star